This is the Miller Lite Cowboys Hour,
supported by Albertsons
and brought to you by Miller Lite, the only beer of the Cowboys. Tastes like Miller time. Tom Thumb and Albertsons, the official supermarket and pharmacy of the Dallas Cowboys. Luke Casey, the official bootmaker of the Dallas Cowboys. Blockchain.com. Invest like your icons with Blockchain.com. Alltech Lansing. Just listen with Alltech Lansing, perfecting sound since 1927. And by Omni Hotels and Resorts, the official hotel of the Dallas Cowboys.
It's Victory Monday!
Now, your hosts, Nicole Hutchison and Brad Sham.
Welcome, everybody. It's Victory Monday. Woo! Welcome to the Miller Lite Cowboys Hour. We are at Sidecar Social at the Star District in Frisco, our regular Monday stop. And it's, did I mention, it's Victory Monday.
Woo! Let's go.
So the Victory Monday Club is out in force. We're delighted to see you. And tonight you're going to get a real treat because you're going to get a chance to meet one of the bright young lights of the Cowboys football team. Donovan Ezeiruaku is going to be here. As a matter of fact, all it took was me saying his name, and here comes Donovan Ezeiruaku.
Hello.
So give him a great big round of applause. And he's going to settle in. We call this a proper theatrical arrival. So you are right on time.
I apologize
Thank you.
for that.
You're
No, you are so good. We are here every Monday night, except for the Monday nights that we're not. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
On the Cowboys Hour here at Sidecar Social in the Star District. We are grateful to all of you who have come in out of the summer-like heat. We've got a lovely crowd this evening. Great place to watch 2 Monday night football games and various baseball games, teams trying to get into the playoffs and all of that stuff. And the food's great, and the beverages are wonderful. And what is it that you recommend?
Oh, coconut Red Bull all day.
There we go. That's Nicole, right from Nicole's brain pan, right to you. And then, of course, we're always thrilled to have all of you listening wherever you are joining us from on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network. Thank you very much. And to those of you who are watching us whenever and wherever, streaming on DallasCowboys.com. Hi, how y'all is? Nice to see you. The Cowboys made a selection in the second round this year that a lot of people thought, maybe him included, would be a first-round selection. And all I can tell you is that Donovan Ezeiruaku is just getting started, and today he was I don't know if you even know this, but he was specifically shouted out for his strong play yesterday by the head coach at his news conference.
I didn't know that.
Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
He made a special point of saying it. But the first question, and did I say thank you for being here? Thank you for being here.
I appreciate you guys having me.
It's Monday night. I mean, you know. But the first question that I think must be answered is, what are you still doing in 41?
Honestly, I wanted to get it changed, but I couldn't. Honestly, they wanted to get me out of 41 and into something in the 90s because I wasn't listed as like an outside linebacker or something like that. But I don't know. We'll have to wait until next year.
What did you want to be?
Well, I wore 6 in college. I wore 11 in high school,
Okay.
but I didn't want 11.
Well, yeah, 11's available now.
Yeah, I know. I understand that,
Yeah.
but 6
but
isn't
good for
available.
you. Don't take that. 6 is not available.
6 isn't available, so it was like, you know, any more single-digit numbers, I thought they looked kind of cooler. So,
17?
you know, we can't do 17 because we got our GOAT, you know.
Yes, I know. I know.
You can't do 17.
And thank you for remembering him. Okay, so you're going to be happy with 41.
Yeah, for now.
You know, one of the
now.
great safeties that ever played in the league and on this team wore 41, Charlie Waters. Have you heard about Charlie?
That. Yeah, they told me they gave me the rundown after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a number with a great legacy. But okay, so we'll get used to you being at 41. Tell me, since Coach Schottenheimer brought it up today, he said it was the best game you've played so far, and there've only been. Well, I said 2, but Scott Agulnik, the Cowboys PR representative, reminded me that you played in all 3 of the preseason games. So I count those on my list of games that I broadcast because I prepare for them.
Yeah.
So did you feel better yesterday? Let's start with that.
Honestly, I didn't think I felt any better, just kind of because I'm my worst critic. So, after every drive, I, kind of go back to the sideline and, think about the things that I could have done better. I just really want to just go help the team win in any way possible. So if sometimes I can't, rush speed off the edge because I got to set an edge so that we got a game going on the other side. That's what I have to do. I have to do what's best for the team. But, any way I can contribute, that's exactly what I'm going to do.
Did you feel, and for those of you who don't know, Donovan's a Philly kid. But he's almost over that now.
I'm a South Jersey kid.
You're a South Jersey kid. Okay.
A little affiliation.
That's okay. That's good. That's fine.
Yeah.
But you did grow up an Eagles fan.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so even though I know you've put that behind you, and you said from the moment you were drafted, your family understood, but playing your first game there, so close to home, and they're the champions and all that, was there a little extra on you last week?
There was. I wouldn't say it was a whole bunch, it was a little bit of extra. It was kind of surreal. It was really cool as a kid because I grew up 30 minutes from that stadium. You drive by sometimes, it's a stadium that you see when you're going, to the airport or you're going to downtown. But it was really cool that my family could be there. They were all there. And, I have a brother that lives out here in Texas with me. I've got a brother that lives in D.C. My little brother's in high school. And we were all able to go to that game, and they were able to be there for me in that moment. I've had some high school coaches, my defensive coordinator, my defensive line coach, the two that, kind of got me, where I wanted to be in terms of going to Boston College. They were there to support me as well, and obviously I had a lot of family and friends there supporting, but they knew what it was. We got that star on our helmet, and the ones that I actually really let, around me, they had that star as well. They didn't have any Eagles gear on, so it was really cool, being back home. But at the same time, I knew that there was work to be done, of course, and I can't wait to go see those boys again.
How was it different making your home debut in Arlington yesterday?
It was a great atmosphere yesterday. I saw, when I walked in, we go into the stadium early, obviously, and I saw the white towels on the benches or on the seats, and I was like, wow, this is going to be one of them. And then, to me, honestly, that was the loudest stadium I've been in. I know it's a dome, and I know I've played in some nice, I played at Clemson in college. I played at, a couple different, stadiums, but that atmosphere was electric. We were going back and forth with it, with a divisional team, and it was great.
Was that atmosphere, that experience of your first Dallas Cowboy game in AT&T Stadium, everything that you kind of envisioned when you first got drafted by the Cowboys?
Yeah, it was. I wish I would have got my first sack in that stadium too. That was really what I was pushing for. I know I missed one. I got a couple of pressures, QB hits, but I was like, I really wanted to get back. First game, AT&T Stadium, first sack, and so.
It's coming. It's coming.
It's coming. I know it's coming. It's brewing, and then it's going to be a wave too.
Yeah.
Hopefully, yeah.
Have you embraced wearing that star on your helmet? Because it comes with a lot of baggage, right? But it comes with some good things as well. How have you kind of embraced that as a rookie?
I think I definitely embraced it. I feel like, myself and a lot of people here, we all watched on Netflix that the documentary, the docu-series, and to me that added, a little extra, fuel, a little extra spark, because it's like, this is what this organization is about. We win games here, as a Dallas Cowboy, and that's all. I was like, I can't wait for that first game. I can't wait for the next time I play, or the first time I play in AT&T Stadium. That's a regular season game, because I see this is the culture. This is Texas football. This is Dallas Cowboys football. This is what it's all about.
And when you played that game last week, you also had the thrill and joy of playing your first game against a man the size of 4 humans, Jordan Mailata, the Eagles left tackle. That looked like a time or two he was kind of treating you like a pesky little brother, like, get out of my way. Yeah. That's a very difficult debut. They're not all like that, but I mean, they're all NFL players, so they're all good. So I think my question is, how, if at all, have you found NFL football, just 2 real games in, how have you found it different from college football, and how does it measure against whatever you expected?
Yeah, it's different because, a guy like that, they understand the small nuances of offensive line play. They know the little tricks to hold you, just in time and let you go right on time for them not to get the call. They know little stuff like that. And it was a really good learning experience, because I actually talked to Tyler Booker about this, that game being our first game going against, the opponent that we were going up against. they're not going to get any better than that. You know, obviously it's the NFL, so, you know, everybody's very talented. However, you know, it's Jordan Mailata, it's Lane Johnson on the other side. So, you know, it's great that was my learning curve. And I definitely would say I had my welcome to the NFL moment. And it's good I got it out early. I think it's only going to be up from here, especially for me.
You talk about the veterans that have the details kind of locked down, but for you, you know, you're a rookie developing and learning as well. And one thing that stood out to me was in training camp, you were working with Tyler Smith and some of the older offensive linemen, kind of learning their pass rush moves, or their blocking against pass rush moves. How often do you find yourself working with those guys to kind of learn the details of the game week in and week out?
Yeah, I kind of came in, you know, wanting to be a sponge. Somebody that, you know, asks a lot of questions. I ask Coach a lot of questions. I'm the type of, I'm going to ask why, and then I'm going to go execute. But that's something that, you know, that I knew I wanted to do because, you know, these guys have been in the league for, you know, however many years. They have experience. They've gone against, you know, if it wasn't this era's, you know, best offensive tackles, it was the last or whatever the case may be. Not trying to call any of my teammates super old or anything like that. But that's just what it is. And I just wanted to learn, you know, what are the things that you had to do differently, you know, when you made that transition from college football to the NFL, especially when it comes to rushing the passer.
And what do you think so far? It's really unfair to ask you this 2 games in, because every game presents different challenges, as we've seen. What do you think 2 games in about the things that you have to be better at that maybe you didn't expect?
I would say, and it's not that I didn't know this at first, but, you know, it can't always be a speed rush, especially being a guy who is a speed rusher. And sometimes it gets frustrating because I feel like, you know, I can burn the edge and I could help my team to go get a sack. And, you know, you do got to take risks and you got to do what you have to do, but you also have to do what you have to do for the team. And, you know, I kind of learned it in the first game. You know, if you make an inside move, especially, you know, relatively early in a red zone, mobile quarterback, you know, he's going to scramble. He's going to go run. You can't do that. You know, something that you can get away with in college because you're just better than, you know, the people that you're going up against. So that's something that I learned, and that's something, you know, one of the details that I'm, you know, working on, and I think that we're getting better.
We are just getting started, and I guarantee you are going to love Donovan Ezeiruaku the more you hear from him, and you're going to hear more from him in just a moment. But Nicole, this Miller Lite Cowboys Hour, who brings us this?
Albertsons. When it comes time to shop for tailgate favorites, go to Tom Thumb and Albertsons. Get 10% off your groceries every Dallas Cowboys game day when you wear your Cowboys jersey. Tom Thumb and Albertsons, the official supermarket and pharmacy of the Dallas Cowboys.
And we'll be back with Donovan Ezeiruaku right after this.
Tom Thumb.
Go.
Back to the Miller Lite Cowboys Hour, supported by Albertsons.
And welcome back to the Miller Lite Cowboys Hour. We are at Sidecar Social, the Star District in Frisco. Give yourselves a hand for coming out. I'm Brad Sham with Nicole Hutchison and our very special guest, Cowboys defensive end Donovan Ezeiruaku.
Wait, Brad, I don't think that was enough energy. I'm
You know,
sorry. I think they got to try that again.
I do think you're right.
Yeah.
Should I try it again?
Yeah,
our
we gotta try
special
it again.
guest, Donovan Ezeiruaku.
There we go. That was better.
I mean, it's Victory
Second.
Monday for
Flag.
crying out loud.
Monday.
Goodness gracious. How closely were you watching the field goal operations at the end of regulation and the end of overtime?
I was watching it all, but the confidence that we have in 17 is like we knew what it was because we see it in practice all the time when we go do field goal. He's smashing them from a 50 plus. So like I think my teammate James said it yesterday. He's like, when we cross the 50, we good. We're gonna leave with some points. So.
Did you know about him when you were drafted? Before you got, not when you were drafted, but before you got down here?
Yeah, when I got down here, I was like going through some of the numbers and I was trying to figure out like which numbers obviously, and it was like 17. I mean I looked at it, and I was like, oh that's a kicker, and they're like no, like that's you're not.
He's not just a kicker.
Yeah, you're not gonna get that.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, you have a different you've played football a while. You have a different feeling when he comes in the game than you have had before on other teams with other kickers?
It's just the confidence. That's probably the only feeling. It's different. In college you never know what you're gonna get. I think we had some a decent place kicker in college, but at this level it's like if you don't do your job you might not be here very long. So a guy that can do his job at such a high level like that, it's like you got a different sense of confidence.
Sometimes that kicker position kind of gets overlooked and underestimated a little
It
bit.
does.
How much has Brandon Aubrey, kind of changed your perspective of that kicker position and the amount of respect that you probably now have for that position?
I don't think I ever disrespected specialists. They kind of do their own thing sometimes. You might see them, chipping or putting or whatever the case may be. I know they're big, golf guys, but or you might see them in the players' lounge, or whatever the case may be. But they put their work in. It's obvious, especially when we go special teams periods. During practice, things are always on point. So that goes to show how much they actually put into their craft, and they're getting paid. They work just as hard. So it's they are. They're their own kind, of course. They're very unique individuals. I feel like it's just like a common trend on every team. Yeah. But they're great guys and they work at their job.
They have a little international club. They know each other and they go to kicking camps together and all of that stuff.
They call him Butter, but what's a nickname that you would give Brandon Aubrey, if you could come up with one?
Dang, I think Shotty said one today, and Coach Shotty said one today in the team meeting. Butter. I feel like that fits.
I guess.
You know where that came from, don't you?
You just move like butter.
And you know who gave it to him?
Who gave it to him? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The quarterback said exactly that year before last. It's just smooth as butter.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's a fitting one.
Exactly. That's why when they tried to ice him.
I wasn't worried about the ice. To me, I was saying they were wasting their timeouts. But I get it. They can't leave with the timeouts. But
so Babe Laufenberg, I said, what are they going to try to ice him? And Babe Laufenberg, who does the games with me on the radio, said, "Can you ice butter? Can you freeze butter?"
You can.
I said, "Well, you can freeze it. You can freeze butter,
It thaw real fast.
But he is a spicy butter. He's got a little salt in him.
Okay.
It's harder to freeze salty butter." The other news the Cowboys made today was signing of veteran defensive end Jadeveon Clowney. A former first overall pick in the draft, been with 7 teams. Clearly a very knowledgeable guy. Did you get a chance to meet him today?
Yeah, he came into the meetings today. We
You took a team picture today.
Yeah, we did.
And he snuck into the picture, right? He was in the picture.
He didn't sneak in.
No, he didn't sneak in, but I mean he got into the picture.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Of course. Yeah, I got a chance to meet him today. And to me, that's what we need. Why wouldn't we want that veteran presence in our room? I think all it'll do is just add. I don't think it'll be any issue with playing time, whatever the case may be, because at the end of the day, we're all trying to win. And as the season gets longer and longer, we get deeper into the season. to be a playoff contending team, that's what we need in our room.
Are you a pro football fan? Were you as a kid?
Yeah, I was.
So you're familiar with
Of course.
Jadeveon Clowney?
Of course,
yeah.
of course.
What do you think a guy like that, who I think came into the league with a reputation as just as strictly as a pass rusher, and he's actually turned out to be one of the better run defenders.
Yep.
What do you think you can learn from him? What will you try to learn from him?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, came into the league as, I guess a pass rusher. Honestly, when I was watching him, especially early in his career, I definitely saw the run defense, come up more. But I would say I would try to learn, just like the small techniques, what allowed him to, be in the NFL for so long, and what's keeping him here. Because, it's something that people kind of don't think about. This league means not for long, but for somebody who was the first overall pick and, year after year continues to produce and obviously, enough to be able, be with us this year, he obviously knows something. So,
When you look at Jadeveon's film on tape, what kind of stands out the most from you that, again, kind of piggybacking off of Brad's question, what do you feel like you can learn and what attracts you about his game?
I would say, especially now, the way he rushes on third down. I think that he does a good job of being productive and getting back to the quarterback. I think last year he had a couple of sacks to help the Panthers, but that's really just it. I think he'll be a really good piece to to our puzzle, especially in that room.
What's your kind of thoughts on the potential that this edge rush room has?
I think the sky's the limit for us. We've had to face, obviously Russell Wilson last week, Jalen Hurts, and they don't make it easy because they move a good amount. And, for people that, think that, Wilson's kind of older, he moves really well for, how many years he's been in the NFL. So I think that, as the season continues to go on, we'll be able to, obviously get back to the quarterback. We got back a couple of times. We, had a lot of pressures yesterday, a lot of hits. But, we all want those sacks. So, that's something that we're obviously working and building towards, and I think that the sky's the limit, like I said.
Have you looked at the list of quarterbacks you'll be playing?
I haven't, no, because I'm very, be where my feet are. If we got Chicago this week, that's all I'm worried about. Last week was the Giants, the week before that, Philly, whatever the case may be. So I don't look past the week that we're on.
Let me just tell you, I'm not sure you'll play a quarterback who can't run.
Yeah. And I think
they're all going to run.
I think that's the name of the game now. We're not just getting quarterbacks who just sit in the pocket, and we're not getting. Now everybody can move. Everybody's at least a little bit mobile. So
I'd like to pick up on a conversation we had in training camp. Because watching you in practice, as I told Donovan, we talked in Oxnard, and I said, a lot of people down our way didn't watch a lot of Boston College, so nothing personal.
That's
but,
all good.
And I think that people who watched you in practice were a little surprised to see how solid you were at the point of attack against the run. So tell us two things. One, how does that factor into your self-image and what you try to do? And how are you so solid at the point of attack when you're the size of a safety?
No, I wouldn't say I'm the size of a safety.
Today, all right, a linebacker. How about a linebacker?
I definitely got some pounds on me, but
how about linebacker?
I think I just wear it well. I think I wear 250 really well, I would say. But I just take pride in it. I understand that you can't rush the passer without stopping the run first, and I think that's something that's been emphasized this year, of course, for us in the defensive line room. And I take it as a challenge. A team will look at a speed guy and say, oh, when he's in the game, we're gonna run directly at him. Not with me. That's where my mentality is. I feel like I kind of seem really, nice, really good kid. I have great parents, of course.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that. Go ahead.
Obviously, it's a switch that switches. It's a switch that flips on the field. So it's kind of having that dog mentality of I'm not just gonna let anybody bully or push you around, especially in the run game.
You talked about the versatility. Where do you feel like has been the biggest area that you've grown from training camp until now?
From training camp until now, I would say in rushing, going speed to power. I think that was a question mark, before, because I didn't really do too much of that in college, especially my last year. But understanding it now that's what you need to set up your speed, at the next level, and obviously practicing during training camp, and then now, executing in games. I think that's something that I've definitely improved on.
What's the hardest part about doing that speed to power?
I mean, you're going up against a guy who's 330 pounds. That's pretty tough. You can lift as much weight as you want, but they do too. They're strong individuals as well. So I think that's you kind of got to use your speed to go power. So if I'm going to burn the edge, I'm going to get off the ball and then throw that stab in there. I'm talking football. I'm getting really specific.
No, come on.
Now.
We're going deeper. Don't worry.
But that's what you got to do, and I think that's what helps. The whole speed to power.
Do you do any martial arts?
I did practice. I did box a little bit in college.
I'm thinking about, Randy White
Yep.
was, he's one of the greatest defensive tackles that ever played.
Yep.
And he became such an expert of the use of martial arts that he still does it today. And he's almost my age, which is like 140. In case you didn't. His hand usage was part of his strength. And I'm thinking about when you get guys like Mailata or Tyron Smith or some giant who gets his hands on you and puts a death grip on there.
Yep.
You got to do something to counter that, right? You got to do something, get their hands off you.
Yep.
So, what specific training do you do to enhance that part of your game?
Yeah. So in college, I said I did box and I tried to translate it to football, but at the same time, now I don't have that much time to go be in a boxing ring all the time.
No.
Like I try to do extra work after practice, and that's grabbing hands or getting practicing with our assistant D-line coach, and I also work with Charles Haley. During camp. And he was big on that, grabbing hands, especially when the guy's striking you here, or what do you do in that situation? And so that was like the small things that we would work as well.
What's Charles like to work? Charles is an interesting guy.
He's an interesting guy.
Very colorful guy.
Yeah, he is.
And a Hall of Famer.
Yep. Rightfully so.
What is Charles like to work with?
Interesting guy, but he'll let you know how he feels about you. So for me, he told me that, hey, listen, I want to work with you because I see something in you, of course. So I took that as a compliment. You show respect to a guy like that, but he obviously has knowledge. He did it at a high level. He won championships here. He won a few. He's a Hall of Famer. So he knows what he's talking about. But he's one of those guys that you'll see like, okay, I'm going to the side to go do my extra work. He'll come over there with me, and then we'll get some extra work in together. So,
What's been your favorite piece of advice from Charles?
He was like, listen, guys our size. He tried to tell me he was lighter than what he was, when he was, first coming into the league. And he's like, guys our size, like we can't let them get that death grip on us. So obviously you got to work on the hands. And I think that's something that we just emphasized. But that was the biggest thing.
I'm trying to remember, and then we got to take a break. I'm trying to remember when Charles came here from San Francisco. I'll bet he wasn't a whole lot more than 250. He's a little taller than you.
Yeah.
But he wasn't. But Kevin Gogan, who was an all-pro tackle here and played for the Raiders, played on the Super Bowl teams here. When they got him, I said to Gogan, all right, what's the deal with Haley? And he said, he's as strong as a bull. He will push right through you. And so is that something that you have to continue to work on, make sure you...
Yeah, I would say so. And I think I do a decent job. I'm with Coach, Harold Nash all the time, in the weight room, keeping that up. So
it's going to be fun to watch you over the next couple of years because you're going to be so much better at the end of November than you are now.
1,000%.
And next year you're going to be another 75% better than that. Exactly. It's just exciting to think about. Donovan Ezeiruaku is our guest on the Miller Lite Cowboys Hour at Sidecar Social at the Star District in Frisco, and we'll be right back.
Hey, Cowboy fans.
Albertsons.
Welcome back. It's the Miller Lite Cowboys Hour. I'm Brad Sham with Nicole Hutchison. And Cowboys defensive end Donovan Ezeiruaku is our guest this evening. Welcome, Donovan. Again, I know you before when he came in, but we are thrilled to have him. What is there anything about being a professional football player in the short time that you've been one that is? See, let me just tell you something about that. Let me interrupt myself and tell you something about this guy. Just look at him closely. This young man is so intelligent. He is so quick. And if you watch his face, you can see the wheels turning. He's getting ready for whatever he thinks is coming.
Yeah.
And if that's not what comes, then he's gonna be fine with switching to what you give him. I just love that. How is being a professional football player? How does it compare to whatever you thought? And I'm not talking about the stuff we already talked about on the field. How does it compare to being a professional football player the way you imagined it all your life?
I think I don't know. I think I lucked out being a Dallas Cowboy. I think the energy and the love is a little bit different out here. So I would say that's different because to me, I went to Williamstown High School, small, in South Jersey, it's a big school, but it's not very big. I went to Boston College, who, they're not the most known for football. So, just having this love and this energy around me all the time, or people, calling my name when I go out in public. To me, I'm just Donovan. Like, I don't, small Nigerian-American family, from a small little town. But to me, it's really crazy to, people know who I am. And I that's a blessing for me and my family, of course, and I couldn't have it any other way.
I want to get back to your hometown. It's pronounced Williamstown, right?
Yeah, Williamstown,
New Jersey. Is that historically known as like a football city?
Not really. We've had some good football players come out of Williamstown, but no, not really. We produce guys like they send guys to college, to play football. But in terms of the NFL, no. I think I was the highest. Yeah. I think I was drafted the highest of anybody that came out of Williamstown.
So when did football become serious for you?
Shoot, when I put the pads on when I was 7 years old.
Yeah.
7 years old.
7 years old. I knew what I wanted to do because I was kind of an aggressive kid growing up. So
define what that means in your childhood.
So, for example, I played basketball for a coach named Coach Antoine, and my dad's sitting over there. He'll tell you the story as well. I was.
Dad's here tonight?
My dad's here.
Where's Dad?
My dad's back there.
Where's Dad? Wave at me, Dad.
He's sitting at the bar. He does his own thing sometimes.
Dad's hiding? All right. Hey, it's great to meet you.
Right.
Dad, thanks for coming. Thanks for being here.
But, I was fouling guys a lot. Like, I was rough. I played rough with my older brothers. And that's just kind of how I was.
That's self-defense.
Yeah, sometimes I was just the annoying little brother. Yeah, I was the aggressor.
See that? There's a guy sitting right over there at that table. That's my annoying little brother. I understand what you're talking about.
Exactly. So, that's just, how I was. So my coach ended up, he just told my dad, he's like, listen, I think he should try out for football. Like, that it might be good for him. He was the football coach as well. And so, my mom wasn't really going for it. So I kind of feel like my dad, he kind of snuck me out onto the field.
Attaboy, Dad.
And it took off from there. I say that I fell in love with the game my mom hated the most.
Wait, why did moms not want you to
For
play
obvious
football?
reasons,
Okay.
like just injuries.
Yeah.
So she ran track, so she was a track girl. So I don't know. I was a little bit too aggressive for track. I kind of needed a little bit more.
Football's violent.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
baby's going to get hurt.
Yeah.
What other positions did you play?
By the way, she never thought my baby's going to hurt someone. She thought someone was going to hurt you.
I don't know.
True.
I think maybe she did think that. I don't know. Because she knew I was aggressive. But I played a couple different positions. I started off, I played running back. I feel like every athletic kid is going to, they're going to find a way for them to get the ball. Played linebacker, played defensive end, obviously. High school, I played tight end and defensive end.
Other sports?
Ran track and field in high school. Wasn't my favorite. My brother actually made me do it because he was in the track. Played basketball, grew up playing soccer, tried a little baseball, wasn't the best at it. I was kind of...
How good were you at soccer?
When you're like 5, everybody plays soccer, you know what I mean? So super competitive, but, I didn't really see that, go anywhere.
That's how Aubrey started.
Makes sense. That makes
Did
sense.
you know that?
I did. We talked about it today in the team meeting room. So
Just interesting. I wonder if you look at Aubrey and say, yeah, we played the same sport as a kid.
Nah.
Now we're...
Well, like I said, shoot, except for maybe Texas, everybody plays soccer
Yeah.
when they're 4, 5, 6 years old.
Oh, here
so.
too.
Okay.
Here too.
Yeah.
So Donovan and I had this conversation on a national radio show in training camp, but I just love hearing him talk about it, and he's already alluded to it. This is clearly a very pleasant young man. You don't have to be around him or hear much from him to think, this is someone I would like to spend time with. I would like to get to know this person. When you're on the field, by your own description, not so nice.
Yeah.
When did that start, and how have you fueled it over the years?
I think it's always it's been me. That's why I started playing football in the first place. Because aggressive, yes. Troublemaker, yes. You know, that's kind of how I was as a kid. So I think it all kind of tied into that. So you know, I kind of had to learn how to relax off the field. You know that there's time and place. You know, you might see me once in a while. I don't think anybody, but in my house, in my family, they know me as, Don's probably, he might be a little loud. He's probably going to be a little obnoxious, maybe a little bit. He might get a little aggressive, not in like a bad way or anything like that. But, I got a little brother too, so somebody's got to do it to him.
Somebody's got to teach him.
Somebody's got to teach him. So that's pretty much me. That's how I am. But on the field, it's just different. You can't play this game without being a violent person, in my opinion. You can't. So if you don't have any way to tap into that, I don't know how you've made it this far. But me, I think I do a solid job.
Now, at a high level, you cannot play this game without being a violent person. Under control.
Exactly.
You cannot lose your mind.
Exactly.
Because otherwise you'll be like the Giants' left tackle yesterday.
You'll be out of there.
Bless his heart. How hard is that to learn? That's like a human dichotomy.
Yeah,
You got to be
is.
two things at once.
It is. We talk about it all the time. You gotta toe that line. You gotta toe the cliff. You can't step over. You're gonna fall. You're gonna crash and burn. And like you kind of mentioned, you get kicked out of the game. You at this level, you have to pay a fine. They're gonna hit your pockets hard if you get kicked out of the game. And also you're hurting your team because you're in the game plan all week. Your team needs you. So that's something that you can't do. Obviously, things happen, say like in training camp. You could kind of toe that line a little bit. You could kind of look over the line a little bit more than, what you can in the game. But, in game, in season, that's something that you can't do to hurt your team.
You said we talk about it. Is that something that Eberflus kind of mentions throughout the time, even Shotty as well?
Coach Flus and, my defensive line coach, Coach Whitecott, and obviously Coach Shotty. Yeah.
How would you compare Matt Eberflus and Coach Whitecotton to other coaches that you've had coach you throughout your years?
Yeah, I was blessed in college to have, a head coach who's obviously, a defensive coordinator now in the NFL. Had a defensive line coach and, a couple of defensive coordinators that were extremely knowledgeable of the game. So I think, the way they compare to those guys is they know football. I can trust that when they talk to me about, whatever coverage or whatever rush plan or whatever the case may be, they know what they're saying because they've not only done it for a long time, but have studied the game for a long time. So.
And those are the two guys that you said earlier that have played a pivotal role in who you become?
Yeah, I would say my D-line coach from college, Vince Ogobasi, who's a coach for the Packers now, defensive line assistant over there. And then my head coach, they all recruited me, to go to Boston College, Jeff Hafley. So.
All right, we need to take our last break. More, including questions from our audience here at Sidecar Social in the Star District, when we come back on the Miller Lite Cowboys Hour, which is brought to you in part by
Lucchese. Stand tall while you're tailgating or cheering in the stands with the Dallas Cowboys collection by Lucchese. Shop the collection today at Lucchese's 6 DFW locations or online at lucchese.com. Lucchese, the official boot of the Dallas Cowboys and Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders.
We'll be right back with Donovan Ezeiruaku.
Go.
Back to the Miller Lite Cowboys Hour, supported by Albertsons.
Welcome back. We're at Sidecar Social in the Star District in Frisco. Brad, Sham, and Nicole Hutchison, and Cowboys defensive end Donovan Ezeiruaku. In spite of that 41 number, that just
You guys are killing me.
it does. It's not you. I mean, it just doesn't look right.
We gotta talk to the higher ups. Maybe they could get us together.
I mean, if you could change it right now, what would you change it to?
I can't say that because my man Dono, he got the number.
No,
You
but
know?
you can't change it to 6.
I can't. But there's no other number available. That's like a good number.
That's actually kind of crazy.
Oh,
that
That's
the
what
number.
that's really the whole problem.
Well, but now we're getting into defining our terms. What is a good number?
I was feeling a single digit and like some numbers in the teens. I don't know. I can't get behind the whole numbers in the 50s and the 90s. I never, like I said, I wore 11 in high school and I wore 6 in college. I started off with 16 my first semester in college, and then I changed it to 6 very fast. So
Are all of the single digits taken?
yeah, or they're either taken or they're retired. So we got a decent legacy here.
Well,
So
they don't retire numbers, but I mean,
there are numbers you can't
8.
wear.
You can't wear 8. Nobody's going to wear 8.
Okay. 7's taken.
Yeah.
4, of course.
Of course, yeah.
You got 3, 2, 1 taken. 9, obviously.
Yeah.
And
Well,
then
that does limit that.
It
Okay.
does, so
All right, we'll have to work on that. Okay, we have a mic ready. Here's some questions from our audience for Donovan. Go ahead.
Hey, Donovan. Larry from McKinney. First off, I want to wish you an early birthday 10 days from now.
thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. My question is that picture that you just signed
Yeah.
when your freshman year in high school, tell me the story about that picture.
That one was a hot day in the summer, I think, during camp. And obviously couldn't get a haircut in time. I looked insane in that picture. But that was just, my first year in high school. Just excited for, what was to come. Obviously, I knew I would be in a situation like this. I didn't know how or, where that journey would, or how that path would be shaped in any way. That just, kid, wet behind the ears, just excited to play football for that high school.
When did you know you wanted to play professional football?
When I was 7 years old.
When did you know you would?
When did I know I would? I would say when I got to college, and I played against a guy who's in the NFL right now. His name is He just got drafted. I actually be seeing him. He plays for the Bears. He was about 6'8", 6'9", 300-some pounds, and he was kind of young too. But we would go back and forth during spring ball and during fall camp my first year. And I said, they were saying, he was an NFL caliber offensive tackle. But, like I said, we were going back and forth. I would win some, he would win some. And it was like, okay, I know I can do this. If I obviously got to fix some things, got to get bigger, stronger, faster, and continue to work, I know it'll be, any year now.
what does a successful season look like for you, Donovan Ezeiruaku?
For me, I feel like I gave like a politically correct answer before, obviously helping the team in whatever way I possibly can, and winning as many games we possibly can, and going to the playoffs and making a strong run. I think I have my goals, in terms of sacks, but that's really all it is. Like, it might sound, politically correct or cliche, but that's a successful year to me. I want to stay healthy. I want to do what I possibly can to continue to make an impact, and continue to make an impact on the field and off the field.
Tell us about your goals.
Obviously, I want to get 10+ sacks. That's a tough duty. That's just something that I have for myself every single year. And if I don't achieve that, sometimes I feel like I'm my worst critic. I feel like I fell short, and I got to go back to work. I obviously want to start. That's something I got to work myself into. That's a goal of mine for sure.
10+ sacks.
You had 2 hurries or pressures yesterday. Or is there a difference between a hurry and a pressure? Same thing, isn't it?
I don't know. They that stuff. I don't know that.
Well, this was the Cowboys statisticians, and so they listed you with 2. So how many pressures in a game is good for you?
Honestly, the pressures are good because you're obviously affecting the quarterback. You're affecting the game in a way. But, a lot of times people don't look at pressures and say, oh, yeah, he was definitely, he was a force. They look at how many sacks you got in that game.
Yeah, forget about people.
Obviously, you got to forget. But that's something that I look at too. So I want to have a strong impact on the game, of course. But I want to get home. I want the sack. So
let me ask you something. How much more pressure is on you guys as a whole to get home, get those pressures, considering the vulnerability in the back end the Cowboys have with just injuries, right, and just trying to work back Trayvon Diggs. How much pressure do you feel like is on you guys, if there's pressure at all?
I don't think there's pressure, especially not from the outside world or anything like that. I think the way we are in our room and how competitive we are, we push ourselves. We are the ones that are putting pressure on ourselves to get back because we want to be, we want to be the engine of of the defense and of the team. We want to affect the game and so we could have, it's easy to have all pro corners and all pro DBs and linebackers when, they got a really good defensive line, getting back to the quarterback, multiple times a game. So that's something that, we kind of, push on ourselves. It's not really something that, that we don't really have any kind of outside pressure.
So between you and Fowler and Sam Williams and Marshawn Nealand, which of those four people believes the most that they're going to lead the team in sacks?
I think we all do, which is I think that's what you want to hear, but that's the honest to God truth. And I'll tell him, I'll joke around all the time, especially with Dante, because Dante's he's the vet, he's the older vet in the room. He's obviously been here for, he's had a long career so far. And I'll joke with him, like, Tay, I'll get back. You don't want to get back for real. This is going to be me this drive. And he'll just look at me and laugh because he knows that, what kind of competitor I am, and I know what kind of competitor he is. So
having that whole compete every day mantra, Shotty has, pretty much told us, of course, and told you guys and set the standard of since he first got here. How much does that kind of just, I guess, help you guys in terms of everything that y'all do, because it's pretty much like a team-wide new culture that they're trying to set here. So how much do you feel like that helps y'all?
That helps us a lot. It goes as deep as, in the locker room. I'm sure if you've been in the locker room, there's a ping pong table there. And it doesn't matter what time, whenever time we have a break, there's always something going on at that ping pong table, Or, we have like a basketball in the locker room as well that, that's something that we harp on because that's how you win games. When you take everything as a competition and you want to win, there's a winner and there's a loser. That I feel like that's important to the culture of a team.
Have you won in ping pong?
Yes.
How many times?
Right? Yes.
No, because I definitely. But the thing is, we got a lot of really good ping pong players in that locker room. So I used to win early on when guys were still kind of fresh, but then guys get more practice. I kind of stay to the side a little bit.
Who thinks they're the best ping pong player?
Right now, I think Wanye does.
Oh,
it's a couple. It's probably like Wanye, Ernest, Brown. Shoot, Trey's in there too. He's always on the table. CD's on there. Dak will be. Like, everybody's always on the table. So it kind of everybody's gonna say that they're the best.
And who really is the best?
I don't know. Shoot, it might be Maris. Somebody might get mad at me, about saying that, but it might be Maris.
All right.
I feel like every time we're in locker room, he's always on the table.
Exactly.
So that explains
He's one
it.
of them. Yep.
We got about 2 minutes left. What are you doing for relaxation and fun when you're not playing football?
Shoot, typically I'm home playing my game.
What's your game?
I play 2K, NBA 2K, and I play Call of Duty.
Do you play those?
I play none of that.
Okay.
And I like to spend time with my family and friends, so I kind of, chill, grab food, good food. I like to eat good.
Favorite food?
At the spot here, I definitely come here. Here multiple times.
Yeah. Nicole asked you a very important question, yes.
Yep.
I don't know, I'm kind of greedy.
Oh,
come on.
Okay, you got to pick one.
I would say Nigerian food.
What specifically?
Fufu, jollof rice. I don't know. I'm not greedy. I'm not picky, so
I
kind of eat it all.
Do you cook it?
I don't. No, it's a little complex. It's not.
Mom cooks it.
Mom and dad.
Dad too.
And then I've got family members, of course. I feel like I'm the favorite nephew. So
that's funny.
And so your brother's living with you? Mm-hmm. And is your dad just visiting right now?
My dad's just visiting.
And so how many? Can your brother cook it?
He can't actually, but he does cook. So he cooks at home, honestly. Yeah, he's a really good cook. He actually he owns a food truck out here that'll be opening up in Dallas soon.
Hold on, what kind
What's
of
it gonna be
food?
called?
Lou's Philly Flavors. So he opened up in Houston, Texas already, but he does the whole Philly cheesesteak because he was actually born and raised in Philadelphia. He's a little bit older than I am, and he does the whole Philly cheesesteaks, chicken cheesesteaks, salmon cheesesteaks, everything. That's his thing, and he could throw down, boy. He could throw
Salmon
down.
cheesesteaks?
Everything. He
sounds
can throw down. So it'll be opening up soon. So.
When we have to try out the truck?
Soon. We're aiming for the end of this month.
Okay.
Maybe October.
It's in
Sounds-
Houston though, too.
Oh, it sounds
No,
like a,
he's out here now.
he's here,
Yeah.
but it sounds like a great thing for October. Cools off a little bit.
Exactly.
Got to fill up. Everybody say thank you to Donovan Ezeiruaku, please. Thank you for the time. What an engaging young man. The show will be right back here, same time next week after the Cowboys beat the Bears for another Victory Monday on the Cowboys Hour.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?